Yo, this is CG Ruthless Sports. I will be brutally honest and nothing but being brutally honest. Coming at ya on the live stream. Yeah, you know what? I was just completing watching the entire pay per view. Got to watch the entire WrestleMania. So I got to see it on the app or something. So the match with Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre, I got to give it at least. I got to give it at least a solid A. The finish was good. The match was pretty intense. I think that was the good decision that the WWE did. Give Lashley a long title reign because if they would have just let him lose that belt, it would be pointless. What's the purpose of him being the champion? You want him to be a dominant champion for a little bit. Give him a good title reign. I like that direction, so I'll give it a solid A. The the beginning of the match was interesting, but at the end, the match was good. MVP paying huge dividends on that match was a good factor. I think Lashley deserves to have a longer title run, maybe until SummerSlam, build up his feud with somebody else. Drew McIntyre should get more opportunities down the road. And then the tag team turmoils with the Divas. The finish was kind of like a solid C. Wasn't that interesting to me. I just wasn't that impressed with that match personally. And then you had matches like you had some good matches from the get go. But the Shane McMahon versus Braun Strowman, it was interesting to a point, but it seemed to me Shane McMahon was playing that little cheating tactic. I give it a C. It was okay. Wasn't that great of a cage match, but the finish of the match was good. Braun Strowman did good on the last. It was kind of like a boring match, personally. I just wasn't quite into that match like that because it seemed to me Shane McMahon was already doing lopsided advantage for a little bit, and then the finish was good. The finish of the match was interesting when Strowman did the finish, dumped him off the cage towards the ground, and then did his finisher 1, 2, 3. It was a C in my opinion. And then you had matches like what is it, Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. That was a solid A. That steal the show. The way the finish went out. I mean, Sasha Banks put on a good fight. She was well deserved to hold the title belt, but at that point, Bianca Belair, she did a good finish. I must admit, Bianca Belair put on a good show. At the finish of the match, the whip part was interesting. The whip part was pretty interesting. The way how she did it towards Sasha Banks, that was a good finish right there. And the moment at WrestleMania where she got her win, it was great. So I got to give it a solid A. The performance was spectacular. And then you look at the other matches. The Raw Tag Team Championship. I mean, the match was a C. Come on, a C? That's just I don't see no interest of the match. I mean, if you're talking about the overall performance, it just seemed to me the New Day just was kind of like not at their best when they had to go with Almas, man. AJ Styles was pretty much on the match the entire match. And the moment he tagged that Almas guy, it was a wrap. Why give it any higher grade? I got to give it a C. It's just the beginning match was okay, and at the end it was just more like they were gonna win the match anyways. And then you got other matches that comes to mind. I mean, you got Big E in a match versus Apollo Crews. The match was okay. It was an interesting finish, but I give it a B. I mean, it seemed to me Apollo was gonna fail the match, but at the end, the finish with somebody interfering in the match was interesting. So that's why I give it a B. I mean, it had some good interest concept at the end, but it just wasn't that great. And then you have the match with Orton versus the Fiend Wyatt. The way the finish went, it seemed to me Bray Wyatt just didn't seem to regain that form. Man, that match was terrible. I mean, if I had to pick a worst grade personally, I give it a D. I mean, damn, the match just wasn't that interesting. It just wasn't that interesting to me. It was pointless. What was the point of having the Fiend back and he was gonna lose at WrestleMania? you bring back the monster to come back to win the match, right? The point of that match for Wyatt is he's supposed to get a momentum push, but he got beat by the Viper. So I give it a D. And then if you look at the other matches, overall match, the Divas women's tag team match, it was an okay match. I give it a B minus. Could have been better, but it is what it is. It just wasn't that interesting to me. And then the one with Rhea Ripley and Asuka, that was a decent match. Give it a B. Give it a B. Because at least they had a good showing, good matchup. It just was an okay match, in my opinion. And then you look at the matches with, I think the one match that comes to mind is Edge, Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan. That show, it stilled the show. It was a good match. I give it a big solid A. The finish was good. In the beginning, it was interesting. And then the finish, when Roman Reigns does the same signature as Edge with that concerto. That concerto, man. That was a good finish right there. The moment that Reigns got that chair and did it to Edge, and Daniel Bryan was just defenseless, and he was pinned in that ground, I love the finish. The match was great. What's up, man? Just saw the entire pay-per-view. I had to watch all the matches and see what was going on. But the finishes were good. WrestleMania 37, I would give it at least maybe a solid B. I mean, you only had like 3 good matches. The rest of them weren't that interesting to me. I don't know. I don't know what people saw with that Braun Strowman. The U.S. title match, it was a solid match. Sheamus was pretty much winning the match, but it was a good showing, good matchup. It was all right. I'll give it at least a B minus because Sheamus and Matt Riddle, yeah. Sheamus and Matt Riddle, they put on a decent match. It wasn't that great. Then you had there were some good matchups there that came to mind. And then you had there was just so many matches out there. I mean, I think the Kevin Owens and the Sami Zayn match was kind of boring as hell. That was one of the most boringest matches I've ever seen. It had no purpose of why you even had Logan Paul in the first place. This guy was the Bad Bunny match, where Bad Bunny was in a match with Damian Priest against Miz and Morrison. I thought that match was pretty good. The way Bad Bunny finished the match, the finish up of the match, I got to be impressed with Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny put on a good performance. I think the way he was trained, man, Bad Bunny was trained pretty good. I mean, he did the Canadian Destroyer, man. He did the Canadian Destroyer, but they call it the Bunny Destroyer, whatever it is. Yeah, Damian Priest, man. I thought the matches were decent matches and all that. So, I mean, I got to see the rest of it. I think that people were underestimating Bad Bunny, man. Bad Bunny put on a good show. Damian Priest was just the guy that was going to help him. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. It's just that Raw tag team match just wasn't that quite interesting to me, man. What was the purpose? I mean, it was more like New Day was going to lose anyway, so they saved it for last just for almost to destroy them, The finish was kind of like he picked them up. Yeah. Bianca Belair did. The finishing of the match was good. At the end of the match, gotta watch the match. The finish of the match was she did her finishing move, but before that she whipped her her hair on her body, and then it was kind of like a funny sound. The way how she used her hair, because she was pulling on her hair, and then she whipped her it made it sound like a whipped sound, and then she did her finisher move, and then that's how Sasha lost the match. But I think it was a good match. And then Rhea Ripley and Asuka was okay match. I thought the Bianca Belair match and Sasha put on a good show. I mean, there was better matches I've seen, but I don't know. If you guys say Shane McMahon and the Braun Strowman match was good, I don't think it was that great. I mean, it seemed to me that finishing was okay, yeah. I really thought that the match with I like the last ending of that match with Edge and Reigns and Bryan. The finishing of that match was interesting. How Roman Reigns just grabs that chair and copies Edge's signature and hits him with a concerto, and then pins both him and Bryan like he runs the place. That's yeah. Yeah, that long hair is crazy. Yep, that long hair is crazy. She whip her hair, man. She whip her hair like that girl Smith. I mean, I was just watching the entire matches and check them out. So according to what I heard, Jey Uso won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. So the finishing was the reason why Reigns is still champion because of Jey Uso. Jey Uso keeps getting involved. Jey Uso is the reason why Reigns is still the Universal Champion. It's just yeah. But yeah, the way it goes by, like I mean, I was kind of happy at the fact that it let Lashley have a title reign. You know, hold on for a little while so he can build up more rivals and give it to somebody that deserves it more. I mean, Drew McIntyre deserves an opportunity like that, but you got to give it to some other people to step in. And Lashley needs to have it until SummerSlam. Personally, let him build up a feud with Brock Lesnar. Him and Lesnar should build up a rival match for the title, or at least somebody that can come to mind. But they should definitely build up Priest to be more like a top star, but they're going to make him more of a mid card. So that's what it was. Yeah. What kind of another rival do you got, Butters, bro? I don't even mess with nobody no more. I've been quiet, bro. Been working. So yeah. Yeah, the finishes were decent. So I was just checking out the matches, watching it on my app or something, looked up the matches, and I just finished like the 3 hours of the other WrestleMania. So I checked it out. And yeah, that was kind of like an interesting ending when Reigns did that concerto to Edge and then just pins him and Bryan together. Like he runs the whole entire division of Raw. I mean SmackDown, entire division of SmackDown and being the top champion. I mean, it was kind of like the good ending. But man, WrestleMania, man. I mean, I wouldn't say it was as good as last year. Last year you had better finishes and better matches. This one was okay. I mean, I've seen a little bit better than previous WrestleManias. I mean, all I can think of is maybe like 3 or 4 good matches. The rest of them were all like okay, not that great. Yeah. All right, guys. That was just my review. I give it a solid B overall. 4 great matches. The rest of them were okay. Not. I mean, it was just. I've seen better. So y'all take it easy. Have a good one, Trent Mache, mate. See y'all later. Out.